Okay, we appear to now finally be live. I've been nattering to myself for the last 5 minutes, which I'm sure was incredibly useful. So a huge welcome to you for this pre-market live stream after I managed to find the go live button. Yeah, I know, ex-banker here. So, not that many brain cells really. And today is the day where everything that went down must go up, and it did. And why? Because we just got inflation data in, and the inflation data we just got in was so wonderful. I could kiss you if I would see you. And I want to explain that to you. And then the next question, of course, is, well, what is there for the great big opportunity today? What should we be buying? What should we be selling? How do we make money today? And that's, of course, what this is all about. As I slurp my doesn't look very appealing, does it? It's not alcohol. No, it's not urine either. It is. We're today sponsored by what? By electrolytes. Here, I got this stuff on the plane for free. No, it is not. Of course, it's sponsored. None of these videos ever are sponsored. You will never see an endorsement, a paid placement, anything like that in my videos because I'm against it. I think it's a bit fishy, isn't it? I never know. I get pitched this stuff every single day. Literally, I'm always like block, 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 unsubscribe. And the reason is I don't know whether those companies are good, bad, ugly, ethical. Is it a good broker? Is it a bad broker? That kind of thing. So we don't do it. I don't do it. I'll never do it. That's a simple promise to you. So I'm not saying the people who do tell you to sign up to whatever brokerage and get, a free, I don't know what, are ethical or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. I mean, I get everybody needs to make a living somehow, and I'm very fortunate. I'm already retired. So, although my retirement is getting busier and busier by the week, but it's good fun, and that's why we do this here, to just get more people to the point where I am at right now. So let me share my screen with you here, and there it is, and show you the unadulterated data in its full glory. What have we got just out? We have in PPI inflation, which is producer price index. Oh, the exciting lives we live, right? Honey, what are you doing today? I'm looking at the producer price index and then the core producer price index. Terribly exciting stuff, but it is actually. We were expecting it to come in at 0.3%. It came in at 0.2%. Exciting, right? 30% lower than expected. But the real joy lies in the core PPI, expected also at 0.3%. It came in at 0. Null, nichts, nada. Brilliant, right? So how do you know it's brilliant? How do you know this is actually good? Well, you open up TradeVision, say, and you open up a rate-sensitive stock like, I don't know, NVIDIA or the QQQ or Sofi or something like that. And up here where it says 1D, can you see that? Up there it says 1D, that's a day, 1 day. We change it to, say, 1M for 1 minute. And then you go back to 8:30, which is here, and you see the beauty of that great big green candle, and you're like, ah. So we went from 134 to 136 in the space of 4 minutes. This was good news. You don't need to be an economist to figure this out. You just look at the chart. The chart is generally your friend. It's generally the source of all information. Anything you ever want to know about a stock is in the chart. So that's pretty useful, right? So now we're basically excited. Everything's going to go up. And the market is rewarding us with a pre-market greenness that we haven't seen in about a week or so, right? We've forgotten what it looked like, what green looked like. Tesla up 2.5%, NVIDIA up around 2%. The big tech stocks are generally also up. Meta's down a little bit here, but nothing significant. That could be the rumors around TikTok, which I'll get to in a moment, which are important, by the way, so just do stick around. And I think that's why Meta is down a little bit. But other than that, this is a great big sea of green, which of course we shall enjoy. So shall we run through the individual stocks first, or a little bit of bigger picture? I think let's do the bigger picture first. I think that'll be helpful to understand what's going on with the individual stocks. I asked you guys also a question in the chat here. What drives you to invest? Now, 69%, so almost 70% of you said quit wage slavery, which I did misspell. I know bankers can't spell. And then retire in style, which is sort of the same thing, slightly different take on the same story. So most of you basically want to get out of your misery, and get time freedom, right? So how are you going to do that? That would be my next question. Well, so now this is important. This is kind of the order to do it in. You want to know what drives you, which is this, right? You want to quit your job, you want to retire, you want to help your family. The 20% of you who are the altruists, you are lovely people. I'd hope to meet you one day. And then you're going to figure out, well, how am I going to do that? Right? So you're going to need some tools, you're going to need some information, and then you're going to need to implement it. And why do you implement it? Because you either really want to get to your goal, or you've got some pain that's shifting you away from where you currently are. So that's why I ask you these questions. I hope it kind of gives you a little bit of clarity in there. Jason says, so much valuable information. Is there a concise masterclass we can learn this from step by step, says Jason. It's pretty concise, isn't it? The one that I got out there. Now, hang on. My door is knocking, so give me 1 second. Okay, and we're back. No housekeepers to answer the doors here in hotels. Scandalous, isn't it? So, how are you going to get there? Well, as, who was it? Jason says just now about the masterclass. Well, that'll be one place to start. So if you want to learn how I actually spot breakouts, how I get into those trades, and then how I get out of them before they become shit shows, so nearish the top, watch the masterclass. It's free. I'd recommend, in fact, that you leave this very stream right now and watch that. Why? Because it's far more important to have skills than to know every little detail about what's happening today. But there are some big things happening today. For example, why Meta is red right now, and what Elon's done and about to do, and that might knock you off your chair this morning. So there's some good stuff coming up, but definitely more important to wear pants and underwear today, says John. Yes, absolutely. Masterclass was awesome, says Jinx. Appreciate that, my friend. Thank you very much. So as Jinx says, do watch it. Okay, here are a couple of stories in a particular order that I think are important, and then we'll go into our favorite stocks. I'll answer your questions and much, much more. Morgan Stanley ups Tesla's target to $800. Sort of, by the way. That headline is slightly misleading. Their actual target is $400. So, who am I allowed to color here? So the actual target is $400, and then they put out a bull case, which is now $800. So it's sort of like tiers, snakes and ladders type thing. And the reason for that is very simple. The reason for that target is simply robotaxis. They've crunched the numbers and they've realized that robotaxi is an amazing business. It's like Uber, but on crack cocaine, if it were legal. Mandy, you signed up to Trade Vision today, but the support button is grayed out. You're probably on a stock with very, very little volume. So what you will see is you're going to have support if you're looking at something really random. I don't know what you're looking at, Mandy, but it's probably something random. So go to a bigger stock and then you'll see the support line. It doesn't work on the small stocks, which is why we don't show it. So look at that green. Isn't that the thing of glory? So that's Tesla. So that's good, right? That's also why we're up today. And that's why yesterday was a nice recovery. Now, a couple of big things out of the Trump camp that are being floated. Now, you never know whether these are true stories, whether they're testing the waters, or whether these are genuine leaks. Trump is apparently going to act on kryptonite, Bitcoin, that sort of thing, on day one. And what does that mean? Well, they're going to float some sort of crypto regulation on day one, which could be very, 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 very beneficial to Bitcoin at all. So I think that's quite useful. Is it possible to buy the masterclass with a credit card? No, it's not, because it's free. So it's free, literally. So you don't have to pay for it. Will you be able to see UK stocks eventually in Trade Vision? Yes, I think the UK is probably the second country that we will add. Although I must say there are very, very little decent UK stocks. Have you seen the FTSE over the last couple of years? It's done like nothing. So British pensioners are basically being robbed every single day because fund managers buy British stocks, which is idiotic. But When will Sofi go global? They're already in a bunch of other markets, but the US is where it's at. So that's one thing. Secondly, there is the story out about tariffs being introduced gradually, which is also one of the reasons we are looking quite green today, because they're saying we might just increase input in tariffs of like 5% in month 1, 10% in month 2, 15% in month 3, and so on. And it'll give them really nice leverage. So like the longer you talk to us, the worse your pain will be. But it'll also allow the market to like get used to it a bit more gradually. Now, the only thing with that is that I don't think Trump is a very gradual kind of a guy. I think he's kind of a, sledgehammer through the door kind of a guy. So I'm not sure I believe that. And the story comes from the Washington Post. Now, the Washington Post is owned by none other than Bezos, the man who owns Amazon. Amazon will feel some serious pain from tariffs because everything they sell is basically made in a certain country that I shan't mention, but you probably know the one I mean, and therefore he might be floating this. So I'm not sure it's generally a true story, but that's definitely out there and that's helping the markets today. Then there is this, which is why Meta is down today. Musk is seen as a possible buyer of TikTok. So apparently ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese overlord, is saying that if we do get banned, we might sell it to Elon, because Elon, well, maybe they have a good relationship with them. China is, of course, a huge market for Tesla and so on, but it's kind of an unusual one. So Elon could end up with TikTok integrated into X, and then you have this weird, massive kind of new social media platform out there. Would Elon do it? I don't know. Nobody knows really. Nobody really knows how much he's involved there, but it's very unusual that this is being floated out there. So that's good news, isn't it? Is that good news? I think it's good news. Some people are saying, oh, it's going to distract him even more from Tesla. Well, if you see what he's doing with X, I think it's the biggest advert for Tesla ever. So let's have a look at Tesla and some of our other top stocks here. Alrighty, so here's Tesla, and it looks like we're going to get a gap up here in the next 12 minutes. We're trading at $414 right now, above the resistance, getting us out of this miserable zone that we've been in, and I'm very happy about that. Why? Because it's going to make us money, isn't it? Let's have a look at how's our Tesla trade doing right now. This is also in TradeVision. So in TradeVision, you can now import from all the major brokerages your portfolio, which means you can see your open trades, but also your closed trades. And most brokers don't really show you what you were up to. So I think that's going to be very useful. So we have about 200% here on that Tesla trade. So it's interesting to see how that bounces up as we go a little bit higher. So good call all around us. I'd say so far. Those Tesla puts I sold, they're looking quite sweet right now. They're up about 13%. So they might be ripe to close them, actually. I'll have a look at that in a moment when the market opens. So that's good news on Tesla. Now, I see somebody mentioned Palantir in the chat just. They're having a bit of a tough time of late. Cheerio, you don't have a credit card? Really? There are still people in this world who don't have credit cards. I mean, somebody at Visa is jumping out of a window right now. Their life's work is incomplete. I don't know. Well, we use Stripe for checkout, which is what most software uses. I don't know if there is a platform, an option to use a debit card or something. Have a look at that. It's not our most popular request, but it's possible. So we're back to 66.92 here on Palantir. Why is that important? That's the yellow line there. That's the 50-day moving average line, which is a very important support line. So you want to close above that level. We're doing that right now. Now, one thing I did notice as we're selling off up here these last 3 days, volume has decreased. And that's quite a good sign. It means less people are selling off each day. So kind of the bottoming out was a possibility there. Jamie, you don't have a credit card either. What are you, all 12 years old or something? Scott says, will we allow for API import? Yes, Scott. We're working on that. We're literally waiting for Schwab and Co. to give us permission to use the. You've got to apply to them, which we've done, and then they, someone's probably working from home, sleeping on it 2 days a week. How these large organizations are run. But as soon as we have that permission, we'll allow you to do that, and then we'll work through it with every other broker as well that permits us to do the same thing. Let's have a look at Sofi. Sofi should have a nice little jump here, given that inflation's coming in lower. And yep, we're seeing that. We're at 1435 here, a little gap up there, which is looking good. Still below the 50-day moving average line. The market's still kind of going, yeah, but we're still going to get out inflation data tomorrow as well, aren't we? Which is true. So moderate reaction so far. Let's see how that plays out when the market opens in 9 minutes. Well, it's the difference between the red and the green volume bar. It's now matching. It matches the candles. That's still the widely accepted color scheme, which we have reverted to. Before it was about actually volume being larger or smaller, but it seemed to confuse too many of you. So we've switched it back to how everybody else does it. Any other stocks you want us to look at? PayPal, perhaps? EDUB says, I bought TradeVision with a Visa debit card and I didn't need a regular credit card. Yeah, that should work. I use a debit card, says David. Okay. 42 years old, never had a credit card. You are interesting people, aren't you? It's a very, very eclectic mix of people that we have here. PayPal is up a little, not massively, but 84.50. I think we can live with that. Nothing particularly exciting, but still decent. Okay, we're getting a lot of stocks being chucked in here. Let's have a look at AMD. A lot of people actually, I made a video on AMD, which I'm going to put out, which will, I think, be quite interesting. And in terms of, okay, I'm starting to see the fundamental bull case to AMD, because I've dug into it a little bit more because you guys have been bugging me about it. And I think you have a point, but it's too early. That's all I'm saying. It's still far, far too early. There's still a falling knife. And if there's one thing I've learned is don't buy falling knives, because it's at 118 right now, but it could be at 50. So don't buy stuff when all of our rules are saying no. And there's only 3 rules, and they're very simple. And you can learn them how. You just go and watch the masterclass. Link is down below, and then you know exactly at the point at which I will buy AMD. So I'd encourage you to do that. Any plans to integrate European brokers into TradeVision? Yes, we will do more. I mean, Interactive Brokers, of course, is quite a European outfit. But yeah, there are at the moment. Interactive Brokers is definitely very European. Tasty is European. Trading 212 is Canadian, isn't it? Yeah, we are working on a bunch of European ones. The next thing we're going to put out is allow you to manually import, because that's sort of a kill-all for anybody. But then, yeah, we're going to keep getting back on board with European and also British ones, because we can see where you're based. When will the breakout indicator be available, says Brian? I am promised the test version today or tomorrow. I will then test it out, probably for a couple of days, and then we'll put it out. I just want to make sure that actually, so we've done the back end. The back end, it looks amazing. The calculations and all that's amazing. We're just working on how to display it exactly, and that's going to come up very shortly. I used T212 in the UK. Okay, appreciate that. WBA looks great. A few of you are shouting that out there. Not one of the popular stocks out there. So you can also see in TradeVision here actually the popular stocks, right? Palantir, Nvidia, the S&P, Tesla, Sofi, S&P again, QQQ, AMD, Sound, KMDA. That's my fault. Rigetti, Micron, and so on. So you can kind of see what people are looking for, which I actually find quite enlightening. What did you just mention? WBA. They're having a bit of a recovery, aren't they? Yes. So nice big breakout there on earnings on the 10th of January and still going strong 3 days later, which is good. It's yeah, a little bit of resistance here. We seem to be slicing through that quite nicely. So I think a rally back up to 1570 seems very possible, very plausible. I'm not telling you to buy it, of course, but yeah, it looks very bullish. I agree with you. AXGN, I looked at that this morning. That looked pretty good, right? I should have bought that yesterday. You know, I was just so tired yesterday. I was jet lagged. I was just didn't do any trading, which I always kick myself for, but it's looking, you know, it's looking pretty good, right? I should have bought it yesterday, which would have been somewhere here at 18 now. It's at 19.20. So yeah, don't let the good stocks get away, I always say to myself. Best, easiest trading platform in the UK. Probably Tasty, I would argue. Webull, actually. No, Webull, that's easier to use. Yeah, Webull for sure. You can turn $100 into $1 million if you know how to trade. Yes, with a little bit of patience. I think that's entirely possible. Is there a broker you can use in the Ukraine? Jerry, I don't know. I think, generally speaking, interactive brokers is available almost everywhere in the world, but Ukraine, of course, is a special situation at the moment with sanctions and all that, so I don't know whether you can. Are we going to add Japanese stocks to it? You know, I should never say never, but I would just be honest with you, that's not on the real short list because our Japanese users are probably, you know, 2. So I don't think that's a huge demand there right now. T212 is super easy. Okay, I've never used that. AXGN, are you looking at that from the course? Brilliant, my friend, of the 2 stars there. I think I did actually mention it yesterday on the live stream here, didn't I? It was at the top of my list there. So I thought maybe that's where you got it from, but well done. You're doing a good job there. MK, you made $370 in 2 days. Congratulations, my friend. That's very, very cool. Now, the guy who spams by putting the same thing in here again and again, I am going to block you, my friend. Sorry about that, because I don't like spam. Is DJT worth buying? The Trump thingy is one of the most volatile stocks out there. I don't think this is something that the normal investor or trader should really be in. No, I don't think it is. It is a breakout right now, but these are real like meme-based kind of things, or a hedge fund going nuts or something. So I wouldn't say like normal rules apply. So I would be very cautious. I mean, the last breakout here, was that a breakout? It was actually. Yeah, this was actually one. That was actually a good call. And then it ran all the way up, but it can be very, 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 very volatile, as you see here, right? So it's a tough thing to trade. I wouldn't necessarily. Tracy, okay, you got into AXGN yesterday thanks to me. No, thanks to you, Tracy. You made that decision to press the button. Just make sure you set your stops, as I always say, right? Set the stops before you execute the trade. Well, at least at the same moment, basically. Are you in Hong Kong? No, I'm traveling. If you can guess where I am, you'll get a cookie. Here I am. It's very hard, isn't it? The picture behind me might be a slight giveaway, but it's it's a tough one. Okay, let me see what else we've got here in the chat. Let's make this into a nice little Q&A session. How happy are you guys feeling today? Are you feeling happier today than yesterday? Put a 1 in the chat if you're feeling happier today than yesterday. Breakouts around the world events. Yes, that's just something we should definitely do. JJ, you're back holding the Palantir. You wish you would have watched the masterclass sooner. Can you say that again, JJ, so everybody can hear it on the cheap seats who hasn't watched the masterclass yet? Or people often write in the comments, I haven't watched the masterclass yet, I'm planning to. In the time it took you to write that comment, which I do appreciate, you could have watched probably the first couple of minutes, and then you would have been, you know, already in a better position. So please just actually leave the stream right now and watch it. Go and watch it. It's far more important than me, you know, answering questions. Right, let's see. What do you think about the market being green today? Do you expect a downtrend? Is it temporary? Well, I think the only thing that's that I think is bearish is this US 10-year yield. And that's still pretty high. So if you were to draw a line from the previous high here across, you can see we're still higher than we were in April. Now, interest rates have come down a lot since then, so it sort of makes very little sense. So it shows you there's a little bit of fear and worry out there about what the Donald is going to get up to. But I think generally, macro-wise, I'm very bullish. But we are always getting these blips. And right now, there's a lot of the volatility is a bit higher than usual. And that just means the market is going to move faster up, but also down. So it can go one or two ways, really. Helpful, isn't it? It's a bit like a politician going yes and no. So we're right now back at 18 here on the VIX, which is the fear index, which is high-ish, but not crazily high. I think this administration is going to be insanely pro-business and therefore be very, very good for the market. But in the meantime, you might have some hiccups. That's basically the way I look at that. There's nothing wrong with hiccups. You know, hiccups are actually useful. Alrighty. You have to pay taxes when you sell. Yes. But you know what? The good thing with taxes is you only pay them when you make money. So you could say I have to pay taxes, or you could celebrate the gain. So celebrate the gain, my friend. The masterclass is solid, says my sandwich. I appreciate that. I watched it multiple times, says White Rabbit. Brilliant. Apron, you watched the masterclass twice, took note, aiming to take it again. Thank you. Okay, appreciate that. I'm glad you're studying, my friend. Let's see what else we got here. Do you think we're going to see negative interest rates with Trump? No, I don't think they're going to go that low. No, I don't think so. I think there'll be a fair bit of government stimulus. And I actually think cutting waste spending will be quite positive for the economy, and less regulation will be quite positive, and obviously lower taxes will be very positive. So Eric, you're showing the masterclass with friends. I love you for that, Eric. That's brilliant. You're in Italy. No, definitely nowhere near it. Spain. I can see why you think that, but no, it's not. Fox, my friend, you're here. Brilliant. Appreciate you. Okay, let me see. Any questions on any of our big stocks? The market is just opened, so we could perhaps venture a look at that. Let's have a look at Nvidia, which is recovering quite nicely this morning and is up 1.5%, which is better than a kick in the groin, and is doing so with a gap up. You see that little gap here? Those gap ups that matter. They're quite bullish. They're quite positive, quite optimistic. Tesla. Tesla also a little gap up there, which is quite positive, very positive actually. That's very good to see. What about some of our other favorites here? Sofi. Kentucky. That's a bit of a random guess, but no, I'm not in the US. Sofi 1441. Yeah, we still want to get up to sort of $15 again to be kind of in the safe zone here. But it's definitely a move in the right direction. What about Palantir? PLTR. Are you in Texas? No. Is this what Texas looks like? Is it? But it's interesting. What's the Texan? Is it the chair? Is it the chair that looks like Texas? It was blue sky just when we started this, but it's obviously gone dark since. Denmark, Paris, no, but I love your imagination. Now, Palantir is crawling its way back over the $67 mark, but still below the 50-day moving average line, so we still need to go a little bit higher on that here. Just got Trade Vision. Can you put a stock favorite list and make it easy to toggle back on and off? You mean some sort of improvement on the watch lists here? Is that what you mean? This sort of thing. Like I've got a bunch of watch lists here. You can create these. There's a little plus in the top right, and then you can make some more. But if you have some suggestions on how we can specifically make it better, please let us know. That's literally, we build everything following you guys. So just bottom right, there's a little support sort of box, and you can literally send us a message. We do read them all. We will reply you also. And if you have a good idea, we will implement it. So I really appreciate that. That's basically, we're building this together. I'm German. You might be in Germany. God forbid. All right. So everyone's guessing where I'm sitting. Let me ask you simple question. Who was worried yesterday about the market? Just be honest about it. Hand up. Hands up if you're worried yesterday. And there's a little sort of hand emoji in YouTube, or you could also just put a 1 in the chat if that's easier for you. But just be honest about it. And some of you trying to bribe me here, our real estate friends. That's how it works. Fubo, you want me to look at? You see, bribery works. No, I appreciate you. I think it's a kind gesture. So we might as well look at Fubo. That did, if I remember correctly, pop up a few days back, didn't it? Yes, it did here. 6th of January, big gap up. And then it's giving us, so almost every single breakout in the world works like this. It goes up, it comes down, and then usually it doesn't go all the way back down, and then it gives us, this sort of thing. So is that what's happening here? It could be. You don't quite know until the second V is formed. Very little volume on these sell-off days here, right? You see these 2 red days and how there's almost no volume compared to the green days. That's quite positive, I would argue, because a lot of people bought here, a lot of people bought here, a lot of people bought there, and very few people sold there. So you kind of want a green day today with bigger volume than the previous day, which was 59 million shares. So watch out for that, and then you'll get a lot more confidence by the end of the day. Some of you are worried about Trump. You see, the thing with politics is you can worry about it, but you can't do all that much about it other than vote every 4 or 5 years. So I wouldn't really worry about it all that much. Let other people do the worrying about that, and just follow your rules, follow your systems, follow your strategies. But if we're honest with ourselves, most people don't have rules, right? And that's why, well, once you realize that all the successful investors and traders out there have rules, therefore that's why they're successful, then you kind of realize that if you don't have rules, this is the live market right now. Tesla flying, brilliant, and Meta getting the Elon treatment. I mean, Elon might buy TikTok just to piss off Zuckerberg. I think that's entirely possible. Just like he might start, a LinkedIn competitor just to piss off Microsoft. I don't comply with my rules, says Jamie. Well, makes you actually very human. Most people struggle with that. So honestly, I just, you've got to get another pair of eyes that looks over your shoulder, holds you accountable, and does that for a period of time so that you become, who you want to be. That's really, I think, the only way anybody ever became a truly great investor. And that's one of the reasons we have people who have invest in bankers and hedge fund managers as the people that, I learned from, and, you can now get access to the same mentors, basically. Glad bribery worked. You're very welcome, my friend. It works most of the time, doesn't it? I mean, certainly works in hotels and so on, in restaurants, and south of France, it's all bribery, by the way. If you ever go there in the summer, bring lots of cash. It's the only language the frogs understand. Now I've offended the French. Oh dear. Like to buy me a beer, says Jinx. That's very kind of you. I don't really drink beer. I actually don't drink anymore. I think I haven't had a drink in, I'd say, 4 years, like literally completely dry. And it's great. I feel really good. I've replaced drink with electrolytes, and I have a lot more energy, and I'm very, very happy about it. Honey Badger's asking, odd one for you. What are the top 3 non-trading skills one should acquire for financial success? In terms of employable skills? Well, I'm not really a big fan of being employed. I'm definitely utterly unemployable. So I wouldn't really be the best person to give you advice on that. I think, generally speaking, I mean, from somebody who employs quite a lot of people, what do I look for? I look for people who have hunger. who actually want to be there, who are excited to be there, and are motivated by your vision. So if you can find a business that aligns with that you actually are excited about, and a job that you actually want to do because you know you're really good at it and you're going to make an impact, then that would be very good. But that can be quite hard to find. So it might not be the best piece of advice that you want. A discipline. Yeah, discipline is definitely good, Scott, and appreciate you're learning with us. Absolutely. I mean, I think discipline comes from having a why. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you trading? Why are you learning? Why are you, mastering a new skill? So you got to have a reason. You got to have something that you really want, and that can be one of two things. It can be a painful place you're in right now that you hate, a lack of money or a unpleasant change. Divorce can be very positive for some people, or something unfortunate happening, a business failing or getting sacked or something like that. That can be the painful drive to get you there. Or it can just be the longing for that house you've always wanted, or wanting to provide for your children or your wife, or whatever it might be for you. But you got to have that. You got to be really, really clear on that, what you want. And once you know what you want, you now have the energy and the drive to actually start to become disciplined. Because if you don't care that much about the outcome, if you don't care that much about having an extra $100,000 or $3,000 or $3 billion or whatever the number is for you, then at the first hurdle where it gets a little bit tough, you're going to be, I could just scroll on TikTok, and the only way that doesn't happen is if you have that focus. So start with the why. That's would be my advice there. Scott says, you've been super helpful for formulating a plan and approach. Appreciate that, Scott. That's the intention. So very happy that works. Please talk Rigetti, says Kevin. Is it the Italian accent that you can't resist, or is it just that you've hodled your entire life savings into quantum stocks because you thought that's what would make you rich by tomorrow? I'm of course just teasing. Rigetti computing, well, it's done a good thing. It's bounced off the 50-day moving average line there, that yellow line there, and that is somewhat positive. But it's, okay, there's a little indicator here in Trade Vision, which is called MRSI, and it shows you how it's doing compared to the market, and it's doing pretty horrifically compared to the market. So it is up 24%, but it's at 770. It was trading at $20. So if you are going to get in on this thing again, please, please, please set a stop, because you will not catch it at the right moment. That's really the most important thing, I'd say, with crazy stuff like that. Pokemats, you signed up for Trade Vision. Brilliant, my friend. If you guys want to do the same thing, there is a link down below, tradevision.io. You get a whole week to try it out. Zero risk. If you don't like it, you cancel at the end of the week. If you like it, then stick around. And so far, about 82% of you are sticking around, which means we've probably built something very, very useful here, which is really the intention. I never noticed the MRSI. Yeah, I think it's better than RSI. It's just it compares it against the market, essentially. We will soon be making that a comparison against the sector, which will be even more useful. So say you're looking at the Rigetti computing, it'll then tell you, is this stock doing better than other quantum stocks, which will be very useful if you want to find winners. I went straight to the yearly subscription, Cash Puppy. Okay, brilliant. A lot of you guys do that as well. Trade Vision is worth it, says Jago. Yeah, so guys, check it out. You don't see the number anymore. I see what you mean. Okay, can we bring that back? Yes, that would be, we just need to have a little dotted line, right? That shows us the number. I think that is a good suggestion, my friend. I will endeavor to take a screenshot of that. How do you take a screenshot on a laptop? Hang on. Capture region. That's a good idea. We will fix that. That must have gotten lost in the in the update. We've made it a lot faster. Hopefully you've noticed that, especially if you're on a slower machine, which is really what's going on out there. Kamada, how's Kamada looking? Which is one of the trades we set up last week. I say we, I mean me. You obviously got to be responsible for your own decisions. And how's that looking? It's still looking pretty good, isn't it? A little bit of a recovery there, 2.5% up. So definitely bouncing off the 660. So quite happy with that, really. Obviously, we wanted to go higher, but this looks like a healthy movement for the moment. When's the Trade Vision app coming? We have a meeting on Friday, which is me and my co-founder Jeff and the developer who's in charge of the apps, and who works for us full time, obviously. And we're gonna just look at like what aspects are we ready to launch, or do we need to add more features to it? Because obviously, you want to make sure that it's fully useful for you. So we'll make a decision on Friday on timeline on that front. I'll let you know more when that's out. And if you follow Trade Vision on Twitter, for example, we put out a lot of stuff like that about releases and so on in the Twitter community. Print screen, yeah, I know there's no print screen button on this this laptop. That's what I was struggling with. But I have a little tool which is called Greenshot, which is actually a brilliant little app. We'll be able to see your trades in Trade Vision. Philip, we are going to working on making like my trades, so anybody's portfolio shareable. And we will then certainly make that available to the coaching community, the mentoring community that we have. That will be the first step for sure. And we're looking quite happy here, aren't we? On Tesla, Sofi, PayPal. I wanted to close Sofi yesterday. It was my rules, but I was too jet lagged to do anything. I don't trust myself when I'm tired with the portfolio, so I just went to bed. I went to bed at 8:30 yesterday. Exciting, I know. When will the breakout screen be live? Hopefully a couple of days. We're just working on finishing the visuals. The back end is already working. It's just the visuals, really. Snap with your smartphone, that would work, but I'm using my smartphone as the camera here as I'm traveling. So it's all a little bit of a travel setup right here. Philip, brilliant, appreciate that. Where can I find that stock heat map? That is not one that we built. That is in TradingView. I'm lobbying our guys to build one inside Trade Vision, but we haven't. It's not like a super high priority thing. I think that's why we haven't done it. Tesla is up 3.5%. Nvidia is up a percentage point. Amazon up 1.3%. Meta down 1.7% on the rumor that Elon, the mighty Musk, might buy TikTok if it gets banned, which is kind of interesting, isn't it? Because, well, it's a political decision to ban it, and it could give Elon like 170 million active users. So you'd have suddenly a massive competitor to Meta, which would actually be very healthy, I would say. I think it would be very healthy for the whole competition thing. You kept Sofi because my I can't understand the sign language there, but yeah, part of me was also thinking, yes, I know earnings are coming up and they're going to be really good, so I was going to exit it and I was going to set up some sort of options trade to benefit from earnings. So we're all good now, at least for the moment. Will that affect Tesla stock if you sell some to buy TikTok? I don't think so. I mean, we saw from the whole Twitter thing that was going to be the end of the world. The best marketing Tesla's ever gotten is X. If you are on X, it's all about Elon. It's all about Tesla. I mean, it's amazing. And I don't remember the date when he bought it, but the stock chart is certainly sometime last year, wasn't it? The stock chart is certainly looking quite positive there. So I think it'd be a very good thing. I think it'd be very net positive. Okay, some of you are close in terms of a destination. I'll tease you for a few more days, as I'm definitely here for a few more days. I haven't put a deadline on it yet. Will you make a beginner options course by any chance? We do actually have something like that. There is a free one that we do have somewhere. Do you go for number of stocks or value? Always value. For me, it's always a percentage of the portfolio. So the number of stocks doesn't really matter. It could be anything random. What if I already sold Sofi? Do I buy it back? I would say you got to have some rules on when you buy stocks, and you got to apply those rules. So right now, to me, it doesn't seem like the most brilliant entry point because it's just sort of lingering. And if we don't break out above that 50-day moving average line in a meaningful way, then I still think this is kind of an exit move. We've got a little bit of support now here from, these sort of lows down there. And I mean, this one and that one and that one, that provides us a little bit of support. Where's the actual support sitting? At 14. So yeah, 14 is probably the one to hold, but I would still be cautious on this right now because it's still falling, right? You want to learn a bit more about options, Katie. Options is one of those things. Either you learn a lot about them, or you learn sort of nothing. So you kind of have to make a decision on that front. So we have a beginner options kind of coaching program with one-on-ones and everything, and then we also have a really advanced one. But it's still going to take you, I think, for options a couple of months to kind of get properly familiar with it. There's a little bit more to it than with stocks, but then it is, potentially insanely rewarding because, I mean, look at some of these trades here, right? Tesla is up, or Tesla trade is up 217%, and Tesla stock did not move up 217%. So you can make some really nice gains with that sort of stuff if you know what you're doing, which is, required for that. So Rocky, you have a spreadsheet for stop loss management? Don't actually have one that I use. You are in the community, my friend. Would you ping Guillermo a message? Guillermo spelled Guill. He's one of our coaches, and he's a whiz with spreadsheets. If you ask him for that, I think he'll knock you one up in about an hour, and he'll share it with everybody. He's very, very good at that. I do recall there was one somewhere, but I don't actually know where it is. The Scott says there's one in the community. Okay, yeah, I thought there was one, and I'm sure Guillermo is the one who made it, so which helps. Nobody would visit England. Yeah, honestly, it's a serious thought, isn't it? I mean, we go back to the whole politics thing here, which I'm always trying to avoid, but I always get dragged back into it. If you retweet something that is deemed as offensive by the British, I was going to say Gestapo, which is sort of what they are, then you can get arrested. So I post mostly offensive things on Twitter. And therefore, I think it makes me kind of think twice about going to the UK, quite seriously. It's weird. It's sort of like, well, we're visiting North Korea. You better leave your phone at home. That's sort of understandable. But you're visiting Her Majesty's United Kingdom, or His Majesty's actually, unless he's now identifying as a woman, which I doubt. It's weird, very weird. I do hope that those, commies will go in the UK and the Brits will do something about it, but it might not be for a while. And wrapped in, I have no intention of living there. I lived in the UK for about 7 years. And there's some beautiful things about it. And then winter comes and then it's a horrible place. UK is the new Cuba. I think Cuba is probably freer than that. And Barian here says, I've been losing money the past month investing and trading, Barian. It's usually a question. It's usually a lack of skill, my friend. That's really what it's about. And I'm not trying to say that makes you not smart or anything like that. It's just, it isn't intuitive. It isn't logical. And the way our brain works, well, we make impulsive emotional decisions. If you want to make money in the market, you need the opposite. You need discipline and rules. And most people go and sit in a basement on their own and they try to figure it out by themselves with poor information, no rules, no experience, and they wonder why they lose money. Probably the only thing where we go, let me just figure it out on my own, right? Pretty much everything, every other skill, like you're not going to go scuba diving with equipment and no trainer, right? Or you're probably not even going to start playing any kind of sport, right? You're always going to have a coach. But money, we're kind of told, no, don't talk about it. It's not polite. Just go do it on your own. So I'm a big believer, and I've seen it countless times, that all the great traders, young and old, new and old, they've had people they learn from. And they've had people they learn from who had people they learn from and people they learn from, you know. Like my mentors have mentors, and their mentors had mentors, and their mentors had mentors, you know, all the way going back to the Egyptians. So it's one of those things. I think you just need the extra pair of eyes from somebody who's at a higher level of skill than you are for money management. So all I can offer is watch the free masterclass, links down below, and that'll give you some guidance. That'll, I think, be very helpful, and then see where you want to take it. My impulsiveness is my enemy, says John. Yeah, and it's a tough one to crack, but you can crack it. And Scott says, best gift you can give to your children is this sort of training. Exactly, Scott. I love all of you guys who bring your children into the program. That's always like the thing that gets me the most is when people say, hey, we have one lady who's amazing, and she's 73 years old, and she brought her, well, she never managed money before, always let her banks do it. And she's now trading and investing with us and doing super, super well. And what's she doing now? She's teaching her 5 grandchildren. How amazing is that? So they're going to grow up with that level of investing knowledge. Their life will be different from the other generation that ever came before them. And I think that's ultimately what it's about. That's the real impact that I want to make, and it makes me very, very happy when you guys do that. So if you are in our programs, do please bring your children or your grandchildren, even depending on if you have any yet. What general criteria triggers the trends AI buy and sell signals that get emailed? So we have, in you guys who are not using Options Watch yet, let me show you. We have an indicator called Trends AI, and it works pretty well on most stocks. And we tell you at the top right whether it's working particularly well for that stock. So let me show you one on something like Tesla or something like that. And there are about 8 or 10 things in the background that trigger these buy signals, like these ones here in green. And it's mostly momentum. So we look at, is the market going up? Is it moving above certain moving averages? Is the volume there? All that kind of stuff. Is there overhead resistance? All that sort of stuff. So there's quite a lot to it. And then the AI takes that. It looks back at the last couple of years and analyzes where we could have done better, how we could have done better. And then it predictively uses that information from that specific stock to predict the future. So at that point, it goes a little bit off my rules, and it goes and does its own thing. But it works pretty well. It works pretty well. So we're going to have a second leg to this coming out in the next couple of days, which will be breakouts. So it'll be like the moments when we think there's the biggest opportunity, and we'll be sharing that with you guys if you are already a TradeVision user, completely free of charge. It'll just go into your subscription. You don't have to do anything for it, because we always want to reward the people who are already using it. Do we have options flow? Yes, we do have options flow. There's a little thing called Smart in the right, which I still want to rename because Smart is a little meaningless. And then you can see options flow live, like literally. See that here on NVIDIA, the live 4 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, and so on. So we show you options flow for sure. So, John, you're very kind. Appreciate you tuning in. And on that note, we'll wrap it up here today. Go watch the masterclass. Actually improve your skills. And that's really the best thing you can do for yourself if you want to make 20-25% a real success, which I assume you do. And I hope to see you live here tomorrow. And